Christmas has always been my favorite time of year. The cold air, the twinkling lights, the smell of cinnamon and pine, it all feels like magic. Or at least it did. This year, things were different. And now, every time I see a Christmas decoration, I feel my heart race with dread. It all started last week. I live alone in a small cabin up in the woods, far from the town's center. It's the perfect place for someone like me, someone who enjoys peace, solitude, and the occasional snowfall painting the world white outside my window. The isolation never bothered me. Until now. Last Monday, as I pulled out my box of Christmas decorations, I noticed something odd. At the very bottom of the box, beneath layers of tinsel and old ornaments, was an item I didn't recognize. A small, antique-looking figurine of a man carved from wood, dressed in a red cloak with a sharp-toothed grin etched into his face. I don't remember buying it. In fact, I don't remember ever seeing it before. I picked it up, turning it over in my hands. The craftsmanship was eerie. The details on his face were too precise, too lifelike for something so small. His eyes seemed to follow me. And when I touched the figure, I swear, for a fleeting second, I felt warmth radiate from it. Shrugging off the unease, I set it on the fireplace mantel, thinking maybe it was a gift I'd forgotten about. After all, who remembers every knick-knack they've ever owned? The first night it started, I woke up to the sound of bells jingling. My bedroom was dark, the only light coming from the moon filtering through the frosted window. I lay there, listening. The sound wasn't loud, but it was distinct, like the kind of bells you'd find on a sleigh. It's just the wind, I told myself, pulling the blanket over my shoulders. Probably some old wind chime caught in the breeze. But the sound didn't stop. Instead, it grew closer. The faint jangling seemed to move, traveling from one end of the house to the other. I sat up, my breath fogging in the chilly air. My cabin is isolated, no neighbors, no traffic, just trees and snow. The idea that someone, or something, could be out there made my stomach twist. When I finally mustered the courage to get out of bed, I grabbed the baseball bat I kept leaning against the doorframe and crept out into the hallway. The sound had stopped, and the house was eerily quiet. Too quiet. As I made my way to the living room, my heart stopped. The antique figurine was no longer on the mantel. Instead, it was sitting on the coffee table, facing the couch. Its painted eyes seemed to stare at me, its sharp grin wider than I remembered. I froze, gripping the bat tighter. I knew I hadn't moved it. I would have remembered. Trying to convince myself I was imagining things, I carefully picked it up and put it back on the mantel. Then I went back to bed, locking my bedroom door behind me. The next morning, I found the figurine again, this time on the kitchen counter. And its grin had changed. The painted teeth seemed sharper, more defined, and its eyes looked angrier. By Wednesday, it wasn't just the figurine. I started hearing whispers in the middle of the night. They were faint, just on the edge of my hearing, like someone muttering under their breath in the next room. But every time I followed the sound, I found nothing. The figurine, however, would be in a new spot each time. Once, I found it in the bathroom, perched on the edge of the sink. Another time, it was on my nightstand when I woke up, its unblinking eyes staring at me from inches away. That night, I decided to get rid of it. I couldn't take it anymore. I took the figurine out into the woods and buried it in the snow. The cold bit at my hands as I dug the hole with a shovel, but I didn't care. I just needed it gone. I slept better that night, or at least I thought I did. But when I woke up, the figurine was back, sitting on the mantel as if it had never left. The snow on its base hadn't even melted. That's when I called the police. I told them someone was breaking into my house, that I was being harassed. They came, checked the place, and found no signs of forced entry. I could tell they didn't believe me. To them, I was just some lonely guy out in the woods, imagining things. They told me to lock my doors and call them if anything else happened. By Friday, I wasn't sleeping at all. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the bells, the whispers, and sometimes the laughter. It was low and guttural, like something out of a nightmare. And the figurine wasn't just moving around anymore. It was changing. Its once carved hands now looked sharp, like claws, and its grin stretched impossibly wide. I tried throwing it into the fireplace, but the flames did nothing. The wood wouldn't catch. It didn't even char. I smashed it with the bat, but it didn't break. It was like the thing was indestructible. That night, I heard footsteps in the house. Heavy, deliberate footsteps that didn't belong to me. I locked myself in my bedroom, clutching the bat, my ears straining to follow the sounds. They stopped outside my door, and for a long moment, there was silence. Then, a knock. 3 sharp, deliberate knocks. I didn't answer. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it would burst. And then the voice came. It was deep, mocking, and unmistakably not human. "Let me in," it said. I screamed, swinging the bat at the door even though I knew it wouldn't do any good. The laughter returned, echoing through the cabin. When I finally worked up the nerve to open the door, the hallway was empty. But the figurine was there, sitting in the middle of the floor, its clawed hands outstretched as if reaching for me. I haven't left the house since. I don't know what to do. It's Christmas Eve now, and the snow outside is falling heavier than ever. I can't call for help. The phone lines are dead. I've boarded up the windows, but I know it won't make a difference. The figurine is sitting on the mantel again, but it's no longer just a figurine. It's growing, its wooden form stretching, twisting into something larger. Its eyes blink now, and its grin moves, revealing rows of sharp, splintered teeth. I can hear the bells again. They're louder this time, and they're coming from just outside the house. The whispers have turned into a chant, low and rhythmic, vibrating through the walls. I don't understand the words, but they fill me with a dread so profound I can hardly breathe. Something's coming. I don't think I'll survive the night. If anyone finds this, please don't celebrate Christmas here. Don't decorate. And, whatever you do, don't touch the figurine. It's watching me now, its grin wider than ever. And I think it's hungry.